John Hannity from 1 till 4 on News Talk KVNU 102 FM and 610 AM.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. The Cache Refugee and Immigrant Connection, also known as CRIC, has been in Cache Valley for many years, providing essential services to families who have been forced out of their homeland because of wars and tragic circumstances and find themselves here having to quickly adapt to life in a new country. As they have helped many families over the years, an opportunity to help them back comes tonight at 7 o'clock with their fundraiser. It's their third annual Harvest Dinner. On KVNU's For the People program on Wednesday, Executive Director for CRIC, Danny Buse, explained why they call it a Harvest Dinner.
CRIC has a community garden. And so this year every year refugee families plant in our community garden. And so this year we're using some produce, and every year we use produce from our garden. And Chef Barney at Crumb Brothers graciously prepares a meal using a lot of this produce.
Buse said they are really excited to see what he's going to do for the dinner this year. He said the fast displacement of refugees has been seen the last few weeks with what's happened in Afghanistan.
Those people left pretty quickly.
Sure.
Some of our clients spend years and years and years in refugee camps waiting to be settled somewhere. What we do is at the Cache Refugee and Immigrant Connection at CRIC, we try to provide services for these refugees and immigrants so that they can not just survive Cache Valley, but they can thrive here.
On their website, they stress tonight's fundraiser is for vaccinated guests only. If tickets are still available, they are $85 per person. It will be held at Crumb Brothers in Logan and includes a live auction. For tickets and more information, go to cacherefugees.org. KVNU weather, mostly clear and then becoming mostly cloudy. Patchy smoke tonight, low in the mid-50s. Mostly cloudy Friday morning, then partly cloudy skies. Patchy smoke around 90. Rain showers likely and a chance of thunderstorms in the evening Friday night, then rain showers likely. A slight chance of thunderstorms after midnight. Patchy smoke through the night, low in the mid-50s. Slight chance of showers and thunderstorms Saturday morning, and then sunny in the afternoon, around 80 for the high. It's been to 92. It's 92 degrees right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy, featuring the best prices in the valley and, as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for a prescription, check with Cache Valley Pharmacy first for the absolute best price, especially on compounds and insulin. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
Oh, little piggy! Let me in or I'll blow this building down!
Nice try, Wolfie, but this here building's made from steel.
All right then, here goes! Gosh, that didn't work.
A building from Northern Steel Buildings will keep out the big bad wolf, and they don't break the piggy bank. Visit northernsteelbuildings.com to see their quality work or call 435-677-7300. Northern Steel Buildings. Value from concept to construction.
KVNU News Time is 5:09 on Wednesday. The Secure Strike Force, which includes the Utah Attorney General's Office, Taylorsville Police Department, and multiple law enforcement agencies, ended a large human trafficking enterprise and helped several female victims in 6 northern Utah locations. 3 people were arrested, and all victims have been offered any assistance needed, including being provided shelter, medical care, and other services. According to a press release from the AG's office, Wednesday's bust is the result of a 5-month investigation into massage parlors in Salt Lake and Utah counties, which were fronts for a sex trafficking and trade enterprise. Information was obtained that female workers were brought to Utah to work legitimate jobs, but were then forced into sex work. Leo Lucy, chief of the Criminal Investigations Division at the Utah Attorney General's Office, said the women victims in this case were suffering in plain sight. They were working in servitude and trapped in a criminal enterprise that was extensive and powerful. Officials are pleased that they're able to work with other agencies of Utah as these women recover from the trauma they have endured. And former President Donald Trump has endorsed a Wyoming attorney in his bid to unseat U.S. Representative Liz Cheney, one of his most vocal Republican critics. Trump today endorsed Harriet Hageman as she launched a primary campaign against Cheney, the most prominent member of Congress to vote for Trump's second impeachment. Cheney responded to the endorsement with a simple tweet, "Bring it." The endorsement is one of Trump's most significant to date as he works to maintain his status as GOP kingmaker and make good on his threat to exact revenge on his critics. KVNU News Time is 5:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
At Wheatland Seed, we believe in providing our customers real food for a better life. Foods that are powerfully nutritious and that connect you to the natural
those
world.
people left.
Foods that give you peace of mind, knowing they were grown by family farmers, most in northern Utah and Idaho. Knowing your food storage is carefully packed with a resealable mylar liner, providing a shelf life up to 25 years. And knowing your foods have been lab tested to verify they are pure and chemical-free. At Wheatland Seed, we love what we do, serving our customers real food for a better life. Our fall stock-up sale is going on now. For best prices, order online with store pickup at wheatlandseed.com. That's wheatlandseed.com.
Connect. It's what we do and where we go. We connect with people at home or at work, online or in person. Everyone needs connecting. At CBTD, we are committed to helping our community connect by providing a service for you, a service that gives some the independence that they otherwise might not have. Our employees are here to connect you with the people and places that matter most through our services and through our values. Learn more at cbtdbus.org.
It's youth hockey time for boys and girls ages 4 to 14. The Cache Valley Youth Hockey League wants you to try hockey for 2 weeks, totally free.
That's right. First-time skaters can try hockey for free for 2 weeks.
All equipment is included. Coaches will walk you through everything needed. If you are interested in youth hockey, sign-ups are going on now. To learn more about the 2-week free youth hockey trial, go to CacheHockey.com. That's CacheHockey.com. Cache Valley Youth Hockey. Join today.
High school football is the biggest game of the week. Every Region 11 football game broadcast on local radio and now also streaming on CacheValleyDaily.com. Listen or watch the exciting action of every game. And after the game is over, go back and watch it again. This week opens up Region 11 play with Green Canyon at Ridgeline on Thursday. And on Friday, it's Logan at Mountain Crest and Bear River at Skyview. Catch all the details on CacheValleyDaily.com.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers. And we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, we meet the challenge. In cybersecurity, protecting and defending in cyberspace. When natural disasters happen, we are there in space. As a strong part of the nation's defense, we are there in the community and we are there for our nation. We share a vision to make a difference, united and focused, taking pride in being there in service of our country. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, Hour 2 of today's show, Thursday, September 9th. Coming up, we've got highlights from last night's candidate forum, hosted by Logan City, moderated by members of the Bridgeland Audubon Society. If you missed this, we'll be moderating an event ourselves at Logan City Hall October 6th, second candidate forum. I'll be moderating the event. We're taking questions from listeners at kvnuftp@gmail.com. Also be able to ask questions from the audience there that night as well, 5 to 7 p.m. October 6th. Highlights from last night's candidate forum, specifically some of the questions focused on growth, housing, and open space coming up in just a bit. I did want to touch on this quickly, wrapping up our conversation from Hour 1 with Celeste Balio of Music Theater West and Charlie Schill of CashValleyDaily.com in studio. During the mid-hour break there, or the hour breaks there, we talked, and Celeste agreed we'll be giving some tickets to Sound of Music away next Thursday during the theater hour, but we're not going to make it easy. In fact, touching on the theme we spent a lot of time talking about last hour, how well-known Sound of Music is and why that makes it a particularly challenging production to pull off, you're going to have to sing for him. We'll be giving away tickets in sets of 2 next Thursday during our theater hour at 4 o'clock, but the requirement is you have to call in and sing at least a bar or two of that. That's about 30 seconds to a minute of a song from Sound of Music. Next Thursday, win tickets to Music Theater West Sound of Music by singing a song or part of a song from Sound of Music live on air. So only the brave are going to win this one. I'm pretty excited to see how this plays out. Before we get to those highlights from last night's candidate forum, again, I wanted to remind everyone of, well, a couple of things. First off, I mentioned this yesterday on the show. I don't say this because they pay me. I say this because I'm a Cache Valley resident, and I think this is so cool. But high school football, the Cache Valley Radio Group, the Cache Valley Media Group, they focus so much on bringing this coverage, and it doesn't happen many other places these days. And I think that's cool. So I hope everyone takes advantage. Something extra this year, and I wanted to remind everyone. So tonight, we'll go through the full lineup here in a second, but tonight, Ridgeline versus Green Canyon. Riverhawks and the Wolves squaring off tonight. And that will be broadcast live starting at 7 o'clock at 104.5 FM, 104.5 FM The Ranch. But something new we're doing this year. Also at 7 o'clock tonight, at kickoff time, live video stream of the full game happening at CashValleyDaily.com. So again, Ridgeline versus Green Canyon tonight at 7 p.m. Live stream, Ridgeline hosting, by the way, live stream at CashValleyDaily.com. You can also hear it if you're not able to watch online, broadcast live on 104.5 The Ranch. On Friday, quick reminder of the full lineup here this week, Skyview hosting Bear River. Skyview coverage will be on 106.9 FM and 1390 AM, The Fan, and play-by-play by Hurricane John and Rex Davis, two funny guys. Bear River coverage will be broadcast live on 104.9 FM, 104.5 FM The Ranch in Box Elder County, and play-by-play provided by Rod Zundel and Tommy Nilsson on that one. So that game also starting at 7 Friday night. Homecoming in Hiram, Mountain Crest hosting Logan for that big homecoming game for Mountain Crest. Game will be aired on 107.7 KLZX and right here on KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, and live streaming video at CashValleyDaily.com. Dave Simmons and John Olson calling that game. Live stream again at CashValleyDaily.com and broadcasting live here on the radio waves at 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU. So there's your high school lineup for the week. And again, tonight, new thing we're doing here. We'll see how it goes. Hope everyone likes it. 7 p.m. kickoff for the Ridgeline and Green Canyon game. Ridgeline hosting, broadcasting live on the radio at 104.5 FM The Ranch, and live streaming video of the entire game starting at 7 at CashValleyDaily.com. All right. Next up, highlights from last night's big mayoral and city council candidate forum. Some fireworks. We'll get to them right after this.
Pristine wilderness can still be found in the West, where creeks run freely and historic apple trees still bear fruit. Maple Creek Ranch features breathtaking canyon views and opportunities for real estate development. 2.5-acre lots are now available with adjacent wilderness areas that provide endless riding and recreational possibilities. So find your piece of paradise just 35 minutes from Logan at Maple Creek Ranch. Schedule your appointment online at maplecreekranch.net.
Friday night, the forecast is an Aggie football whiteout. Locker 42 is stocked up and game ready. Start the season off right with a new long or short sleeve Aggie t-shirt, Aggie hoodie, or Aggie jacket. Locker 42 will have you looking game ready in the newest Aggie apparel. Pick up a new Aggie hat for the season from the Locker 42 wall of hats. It's the place Aggie fans shop for game day. Shop either location, 1430 North Main next to Little Caesars, and the flagship store in downtown Logan at 36 South Main.
Saturday, September 11th is the National Day of Service and Remembrance, a chance to help others in tribute to those killed and injured on September 11th, 2001. To mark the day, everyone is invited to help clean headstones and memorials throughout our local cemeteries. We need volunteers from families, individuals, churches, and the community. This project is suitable for all ages. Saturday, September 11th, beginning at 9 a.m. Go to justserve.org, enter your zip code, and search for National Day of Service and Remembrance.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Coming up October 6th, Wednesday, October 6th, we'll be moderating. By we, I mean those of us here at KVNU, myself, and the technical crew making it happen so we can broadcast this live 5 to 7 p.m. Wednesday, October 6th, a Logan City Candidate Forum, which will include 3 city council candidates, 2 incumbents and a challenger, and 2 mayoral candidates, 1 incumbent and a challenger. We'll break this up. Hour 1 will be for the city council candidates, hour 2 for the mayoral candidates. Similar formats played out last night at Logan City Hall. This was a candidate forum moderated by the Bridgeland Audubon Society. Members of the society were there, and the questions focused on, well, things that you would expect members of an Audubon Society or representatives of an Audubon Society to prioritize. Questions about open space, questions about how we grow and at the same time maintain, a natural beauty that's part of life here in Cache Valley in general, but also a healthy ecosystem, without which the quality of life goes down quite a bit, to say the least. Rivers, a big concern, this year especially in the drought, as we've seen lakes and reservoirs, in some cases, literally drying up. That's a concern. The bird refuge, many people, I'm surprised this isn't talked about more. The migratory bird refuge west of Brigham City there is actually dead this year. Now, this has happened before. It doesn't mean it won't be there next year, but it's just striking to think about this bird refuge that is a beautiful place year-round to go. Right now, it's just a dry, cracked desert. The birds are gone. Having moved on to places where there is still some water. So this was a dominant theme of everything last night. Air quality, of course, a discussion as well. Right now, our air quality is dangerous for sensitive groups, and those, even with asthma, are recommended to spend as little time, especially exercising outside as you can, or working outside. Anything that's going to get your breathing harder, don't do it outside right now. I've complained here on the show that I've had the situation that normally occurs every spring and every fall with my hay fever, my seasonal allergies. I've had this for about a month now, including, the basic symptoms of hay fever, runny nose, itchy eyes, dry, scratchy throat. Also happens to be at least one of those a symptom of COVID-19, so that's pleasant. Been tested several times, been negative. So it's something that's affecting us all right now. A recent report from the New York Times. The report was written up in the New York Times. The report was actually done by research groups at a couple of different universities working together. One of them included Utah State University. or including Utah State University. Research showing that this air, the smoke in the air, mainly from the California wildfires, it concentrates indoors. So in certain settings, indoor air can actually be worse than outdoor air. And there are ways to easily prevent that, but many of us aren't doing that, especially in our own homes. So health problems will come from this, are coming from this. And the whole plan is crossing the fingers and hoping it's temporary. So the question last night at this candidate forum was, okay, this smoke in the air attributed to California wildfires, we don't control that. Obviously, as a nation and in every state, we can probably do some smarter things to reduce the number of wildfires, and that's a discussion for another day. But so we can't just take the smoke out of the air. We can't control the jet streams and get it blowing out. It's going to be here probably for a while more still. That fire, the Dixie fire, at least just today, is only at 59% containment. That's one of the biggest contributors, but there are 4 others as well, and some fires in Idaho contributing to this as well. So we can't control that. We can't switch that off. It's going to happen. It's something we need to accept as part of life in the West for the time being. But we contribute to poor air quality on top of that. Our wintertime inversions, ozone issues in the summertime. That was one of the first questions posed to the 3 city council candidates, incumbent Amy Anderson and incumbent Ernesto Lopez and challenger Keegan Garrity, asked by a representative of the Audubon Society who were moderating this candidate forum last night. What do you think we can do as a state, as a county, and since this is a municipal election, the city of Logan specifically, to help mitigate some of our own contribution to air quality problems in the wintertime, in the summertime, and, of course, being exacerbated now by the smoke from California, our contribution, mainly from tailpipe emissions, doesn't help. The first to answer in the lineup last night was challenger, the only non-incumbent in the race, in this 3-way city council race, Keegan Garrity.
I think I'll do the most popular thing to do in Cache Valley, which is to blame California. I mean, obviously there are factors beyond our control, like other states' forest fires. But as I looked into, what this has been an issue that I've investigated, and as I've looked into it, of the factors that cause air pollution, the majority of it comes from mobile uses, which is to say cars and trucks. So the next question then is, okay, how do we reduce driving? How do we get fewer cars on the road? So one of the things I talked about in my opening statement is smart growth. One thing that we want to prevent as we plan for the future is to avoid sprawl. If the city keeps spreading out all the way to Benson, then that means more people have to drive to the city, and that means more pollution, more parking, more traffic, and the things that we don't like, right? I serve on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advocacy Committee, or BPAC for short, and we met today, and we're always looking for ways to get more people walking or riding, and I think one of the accomplishments that UDOT is working on right now and just announced the other day was to do that pedestrian underpass over by the Riverwoods on Main Street, which I think will help keep cars off the road. I also think maybe a little thing that we could do is more electric vehicle chargers in the city, especially if they're powered by solar. I think we could put more bike racks in places. I know there's some by the library, and those are ones that I've taken advantage of. And I think another potential opportunity could be carpool incentives. So it could be something like having a reserved parking space if you carpool. But I don't think there's any magic bullet. I think it's going to take a concerted effort, but those are some of the ideas that I would suggest.
Thanks, and I failed to mention, candidates know this, but for questions they have 2 minutes. So Keegan got in under the bell there. Ernesto, what would you like to do to improve air quality?
I as Keegan mentioned, it'd be probably easy to divide our problem maybe for 2 seasons, one being the summer, one being the winter. Summer, I do feel like, is largely out of our control, dealing with smoke that is coming from wildfires and such. Winter, on the other hand, that's probably the one that we can try to pursue and improve a little bit better, right? It is encouraging to know that the EPA recently did improve our ranking or rating when it comes to air quality. So that was probably refreshing for a lot of people who have been frustrated with our air quality issues. So I would love to think that we're moving in the right direction and maybe look at the things that are working correctly or that are helping us improve our air quality so that we can do more of those, right? And I think it's crucial, though, that we work with the rest of the valley. Logan by itself cannot fix this. Logan by itself cannot improve the air quality for every single home in the entire valley and the county. So it's crucial that we can work, create a plan with the county, and work towards improving the air quality for everyone.
Thank you. And Amy, it's to you.
So I think it's been noted that living in a valley, there's certain things that are going to make this just incredibly difficult and more complicated for all of us. I think one of the things that we've already been working on, and I think we need to continue, is our partnership and our support of the Cache Valley Transit District. You may all be aware that we just added the blue and green loops that run between the university and both our north and south Walmarts. And if you keep your eyes open and watch those buses, it's been amazing how many more people are utilizing those. So I think that success can hopefully breed more success as we encourage people to get out of their cars. I think one of the interesting comments when people say traffic's so bad, because we do know that that's one of the biggest problems, is like, I'm in traffic. And my newest thing, I'll just say, you are traffic. Like, it's not that you're in traffic. If you are there, that you're part of the problem, and I think we can hopefully make our citizens part of the solution. As Keegan alluded to, that the city has done great things to create a trail system that now connects points where people can bike and walk safely, to use that for active transportation. The $4 million grant from UDOT to put in that pedestrian crossway, which allows us to have a safe passageway. Before, it was from 3rd South all the way to the Y, where there was no safe way for people to walk. And we think that's going to help. We're in the middle of doing our master transportation plan update, which hopefully will help us alleviate and recognize some of the traffic issues into the next decade. And at our last meeting, we did bring up the fact that with the new guidance for electric vehicle charging stations, what can we as a city do to lead on that? It's going to be a challenge in a community where we have so many rental properties. The market will hopefully dictate that, but I think that we as a city do need to continue to lead in that to help reduce those emissions. And also, I think we should all be really proud that the goal that we've had as a community for 50% renewable power, we've actually met. And the projection right now is that we should be at 58% by 2030. So that Renewable Energy and Energy Conservation Board that the city has been active in doing and is pulling people from all over the county on to reduce our reliance on non-renewable sources.
That was, again, answers to a question about air quality. What can Logan City, being just one part of Cache Valley, and Cache Valley being but one part of Utah, and Utah being one part of the United States being but one part of North America. You get where I'm going with this. What can one city do? All three candidates offering up some of their proposed ideas there. You heard in order the challenger Keegan Garrity, incumbent Ernesto Lopez, and lastly their incumbent Amy Anderson. Two of these three will fill 2 Logan City at-large council seats for 4 years. This election will happen in November, and you'll have a second chance if you missed last night's candidate forum to meet them, ask questions of your own when we get a chance to moderate a candidate forum at Logan City coming up October 6th. Highlights from last night's candidate forum moderated by the Bridgeland Audubon Society with a question there about air quality. You can watch the entire thing on the City of Logan's YouTube channel, which is just simply search for City of Logan Utah Municipal Council to find that channel. And that's the official YouTube channel for the council, but this did happen in council chambers, so they just used the same one. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. Coming up, highlights for the mayoral candidates. Mayoral candidates were fielded several questions last night, And we've got the spiciest bits for you. Stay tuned. More after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:35. The news is brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy. With submission of a final design plan for the new Logan Library, members of the Logan Library Board have announced complicated details for the implementation of that construction project. The library design plan was unveiled at the regular meeting of the Logan City Council 2 nights ago. That design is a collaborative effort between Hacker, a design studio based in Portland, Oregon, and Logan's local Design West architects. Their plan calls for construction of a 3-story library structure oriented primarily along Main Street, stretching south from the corner of 300 North. Mayor Holly Danes has previously explained that construction of the new structure on the site of the current library will contribute to ongoing downtown revitalization efforts and save an estimated $1 million in property acquisition costs. But that decision will also require moving the library to a temporary location during the demolition and construction, according to Associate Librarian Morgan Stoker-Taylor. Stoker-Taylor explained that location will be at the new Logan City Service Center, 950 West, 600 North. The location does not allow for a browsing collection. Instead, they will have a pick-it-up curbside option for patrons to pick up items that were previously placed on hold. The tentative timeline for the library project will begin in December, when the city library will close for about 1 month. The library's collection will be packed during that period. A portion of that inventory will be placed in storage and not be available during the construction project. Construction of the new library is expected to begin in March 2022, with the new facility expected to open in the spring or summer of 2023. 2 middle school students in Park City were investigated for joking about shooting up the school. According to the Summit County Sheriff's Office, the 2 students at Ecker Hill Middle School made the remarks jokingly and did not have any weapons available to them. The Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post Wednesday that the 2 students were not being allowed to attend school until school administrators can contact them. Investigators with the Sheriff's Office plan to refer the matter to the Summit County Attorney's Office for any further action in juvenile court. Word of the threat began spreading on social media late Tuesday, according to the Sheriff's Office, which prompted the investigation. The Sheriff's Office said it wasn't until after the threat was shared on social media that deputies were notified. And deputies said, if you hear or see something, please say something to them. KVNU News Time is 5:38.
This is Phil with Cache Valley Pharmacy. We love being in Cache Valley and want to thank you for your support. Cache Valley Pharmacy features the best prices in the valley, and as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for prescriptions, check first with Cache Valley Pharmacy for the absolute best prices, especially on compounds and insulin. We've been doing pharmacy better than anyone else in the valley with free delivery valley-wide for the last 19 years. Cache Valley Pharmacy, the pharmacy delivery experts. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear this evening, then mostly cloudy, patchy smoke, low in the mid-50s, and then patchy smoke during the day tomorrow, cloudy, becoming partly cloudy, and the high around 90. Chance of showers and some thunderstorms by tomorrow evening, and then cooler on Saturday. It's been to 92. It's 90 degrees right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Call Dr. Paul Danes at 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com. For more details on these and other stories, visit cachevalleydaily.com.
NMLS 1817019.
Got a rate over 2.9%? There's a falsehood that you should only refi if you can cut your rate by 1%. The truth is, lowering your rate by just 0.25% and making the same payment you make right now can cut years off your mortgage, saving you tens of thousands in interest. LendRight Mortgage will show you exactly how much you will save by cutting your rate by only 0.25%. Pay zero closing costs with our Freedom Loan. If your rate is over 2.9%, be smart. Stop wasting money. Lock a 30-year rate as low as 2.25% or a 15 at only 1.75%. APR 2.45 and 1.96 respectively. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com. For rates in the ones, call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com.
This is Governor Spencer Cox. Right now, we're facing our state's worst drought on record. If we continue to drain our water supplies at the current rate, we won't have enough for our future needs. So I want to thank the residents, businesses, and other institutions that have taken steps to slow the flow. Utah, now's the time to unite in our effort to water less. Please visit slowtheflow.org today to learn ways that you can take action.
Advanced Heating and AC is honored to be named gold medalist for the best of Northern Utah in the AC HVAC category. They were named silver medalist for place to work and remodeler contractor. They thank you for your votes of confidence in their company. You have many choices when it comes to your home's heating and air conditioning system. Make sure you choose the gold medal winning company, Advanced Heating and AC. Call 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
Hi, this is Danny Hansen, manager of the Cache Valley Bank Smithfield branch.
And I'm Daryl Simmons, Business Development Officer at Cache Valley Bank.
In celebration of our second anniversary being in Smithfield, we would like to invite you and your family to our anniversary celebration on the evening of September 15th.
We will have food and prizes at our Smithfield location, 10 North Main in Smithfield.
The party will begin immediately after the Skyview Homecoming Parade.
Come celebrate with us and learn what an account at Cache Valley Bank can do for you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Last night, the Bridgerland Audubon Society moderated a candidate forum at Logan City Hall. Hour one with the three city council candidates, incumbents Amy Anderson and Ernesto Lopez, and challenger Keegan Garrity, answering questions from how Logan City, being just one part of Cache Valley being just one part of Utah, how they could have a positive impact on air quality. Some interesting answers there. Also talking about housing planning, what we can do to deal with the population that's expected to be here, living in Cache Valley at large, and especially Logan City, over the next 20, 30 years. That population expected to double, which is crazy to think about, but likely to happen. So questions along those lines. You can watch the entire candidate forum on the city's YouTube channel, which is technically the channel for the municipal council. So on YouTube, you'd want to search for City of Logan, Utah. There's one in Georgia. City of Logan, Utah Municipal Council. I've also linked to that on our Facebook page. It was just about 2 hours long, and the second hour was reserved for the mayoral candidates. And many great questions asked by members of the audience and representatives of the Audubon Society moderating the event last night. This question particularly stood out to me, though, and this is one that I plan to repeat in a different way, with a twist, if you will, when I get a chance to moderate a candidate forum at Logan City Hall, which is coming up October 6th, by the way. KVNU will be moderating the October 6th, 5 to 7 p.m. candidate forum with all these same players, 3 council candidates, 2 mayoral candidates. So last night, the question was, with some specific examples, open space, green space, natural environments, the look of the valley, how can we avoid turning Cache Valley into something that, to accommodate all these people who are going to want to stay here after being born here, that's where most of the population is going to come from, over the next 30 years. How can we make sure they all have a place to live, but make sure that you don't drive through Sardine Canyon, look out over Cache Valley, and see nothing green anymore, just houses and subdivisions like the more populated areas of LA County? That's a big challenge, right? Well, that was one of the questions posed last night for the mayoral candidates, again, with some specific examples of areas in Logan where there has been some drastic change over the last 10 or so years.
As the city continues to grow, we have quite a few parks, but some park areas have been rezoned for private development. For example, the half acre of Garth Gardens that has been slated to become a parking lot, or the Deer Pen property where some portions of that on the benches east of 1600 East have been sold for subdivision development. So what is your vision for preservation of green space as the city continues to grow? And I'll begin with you, Holly.
That is one thing that I really worked hard on. And for instance, the specific example of the half acre in Garth Gardens, that is located in the Wilson neighborhood, which has the highest percentage of parkland in the city. One thing we've discussed is that we have to densify our housing if we're going to not sprawl. So that was a trade-off, for instance, and then but we've worked on the 47-acre conservation easement down on the west side along the river, where that's really prime property to try and preserve. You mentioned the land that was sold up in the Deer Pen area. Again, we also need homes and families to come to our schools, as Dee mentioned. And so a portion of that land was sold, but the trade-off was that there will be a nature park of 23 acres. That will make it, one of the largest parks in the city. We've worked with the neighborhood on their input on what they want that to be and what we can do. So then we have an October 4th meeting with that Hillcrest Neighborhood Council meeting scheduled for the designer, which is BioWest, to come back and present some options so then we can get further feedback. Now that's not funded yet, but the first step is design so we know what is involved, and then we can develop a budget and work toward that. Again, in the west side of town, the Woodruff neighborhood, as we're closing the landfill, that is a tremendous amount of acreage. And we've also had a meeting recently, I think it was May, with the Woodruff Neighborhood Council, where we presented a potential design, asked for their comment and input. That includes a 50-acre proposed wetland and nature trail, again, preserving some wetland areas, and then there are also some more manicured park areas. There's some potential, a disc golf, a neighborhood park, a dog park. Again, these are all potential plans that we don't have funding for, but we're in the planning process. We're being proactive. We have a vision of preserving that for the future, and I think those are really important. So again, there are always trade-offs, and I think if you look at my track record, I have a pretty good track record for supporting preservation of open space, additional parks and trails, expanding that trail network. So,
thank you. Dee, what's your vision for preservation of green space?
Well, actually, a 23-acre nature park is a great idea. I didn't know about that. So if that happens, that's a great idea. I think one thing we need to look at and take a serious look at is we need to slow the flow on apartment buildings around this city. There's just too much construction on apartments. There needs to be more permanent housing, is what I would call it, to give families more security and a place to stay. Apartments, they're not a living space where people will stay. But anyway, along with that, I think what the plans are. I was at that meeting at the Woodruff, and I think your idea is a great idea. I think I would bypass the I forget what it is, but anyway, I think a park down there would be a wonderful idea. I think the plans that I saw looked really good for green space, and I think green space is huge. I was very disappointed when the land got sold at the Deer Pens, because I thought that was very, I'm going to say, valuable land as far as nature. But I was not for that. But it happened, and that's what we're going to do with it. I think green space will come into play as, and this might not make sense, but green space will come into play as the city grows. I think there's going to be certain places, like the mayor talked about, where the park is going to go down by Woodruff. I think we need to look at more situations like that. But before we do that, we need to clean up and maintain the parks that we have. And so before we start looking at other areas for parks, we need to take a look at the parks that we have and get them cleaned up, and then start maybe pushing towards more parks down the road. But right now, I think the main discussion needs to be the apartment buildings that are being built all over and taking that green space.
May I have a rebuttal?
Sure.
3 points there. First of all, the Deer Pen property was purchased by the city for a cemetery, and that entire acreage was intended to be a cemetery. When it became clear that we do not have a need for that anytime down the road, it was a compromise. What's the best solution? Of course, can we afford to do the entire thing open space? We needed to repay the cemetery perpetual care fund, and that's one area we need to work on. Our cemetery needs some work, and that property was sold for a very good price because it's prime home area, and those homes will benefit schools. But that money goes directly back into the cemetery perpetual care fund. We're doing a master plan for the cemetery, and that money will go to create a new irrigation system for the cemetery. Point 2, the comment about clean up and maintain the parks we have. We have impeccable parks, and I'm really impressed with our staff. We have been so short-handed on part-time staff this summer, but they've still managed to do that. So I would disagree on that. I think we do a great job. And the other thing is the housing. Again, it's always a trade-off. Do we want to sprawl? Logan is landlocked. We don't have a lot of room for additional development. So one thing we can do is densify. It does give younger people with limited income, a starting point. And again, maybe they can move into a home, but we also, where do we put those homes? Do we continue to sprawl, or do we try and densify around services, around infrastructure where people can walk and access services and bicycle? So those are the trade-offs you have to make all the time.
Mayor?
Yes, Dee, you have the last one here.
Yeah, the only thing that I disagree with, well, there's a few things, but the main thing I disagree with on apartments is it doesn't give a family a home. And when you live in an apartment and you're paying rent, you can get up and leave anytime you want. There's no security, there's no home ownership. And I would like to see young couples have an opportunity to have home ownership. And I think it can be done. It's happened in other cities. I've seen it, I've watched it, and it can happen. The other thing is, as far as the parks and trails, all anybody needs to do is just just drive by the Riverside Trail, which is between Center Street and Sumac Drive, and take a look at that. Because 5 years ago, that thing was immaculate. And I think the city spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean that up, and it looked great. And right now, it looks the exact same as it did before they started it. It's an eyesore. And then when you walk along the trails, you've got a lot of tall grass around sign poles. You've got around trees. There needs to be some trimming. There needs to be, and I know you're shorthanded, and I understand that.
And it's a trail. We're around,
But the Riverside Trail is probably the worst.
And which do you mean by the Riverside Trail?
It's the Riverside Trail that's between Center Street and Sumac. Right along.
The river, little tiny one.
Yeah. When you cross the river to go up?
Little tiny one. Now, that little one that's right on the river where the road and Center.
Anyway, my point was, there are some opportunities there to clean up the parks and the trails, and I think it should be done.
A bit of an exchange there during the forum last night. But all of this, regardless of the specific answers given by both candidates here, and again, that was incumbent Mayor Holly Daines, Logan City Mayor, and challenger Dee Jones, the two candidates you'll see on your ballot if you live here in Logan City in the upcoming November general election. This question, regardless of which answer you agree most with, and I'm sure there are those out there who listening just, picked a side or a camp that they're in. Regardless of that, the question itself, and to some extent both answers, really, I think, get to some of the challenges going forward. Specifically, some of the questions that not just Logan City, but every city in the Valley face right now when it comes to housing. We know we need more of it. That's not, well, I mean, there are some out there fighting that, but it's just unrealistic. We're going to have to build more housing of some kind. The question is, how dense, how not dense? Are we concerned about sprawl and filling the place up so it looks like Syracuse or worse, LA County, where it's just houses for miles and miles, nothing green in there? On the flip side of that, acknowledging that population is going to grow this much, things can't stay as open as they are. The fact is, unless we want to start turning people away when they turn 18, booting them out of the Valley, because, again, most of this growth is going to come from people who are born here, staying here, families staying together. They have to go somewhere. So we can go up, we can sprawl, or we can, lock up all the open land right now and just say, well, we're full. Everybody has to move when they turn 18. Those are basically your three choices. So it's going to be interesting to see cities navigate this. There's always going to be a desire for single-family dwelling and yards and subdivisions. There's always going to be a need, if not a desire even, for more dense housing, apartment buildings, buildings that go up. That's one thing I think we're going to have to get used to here in Cache Valley. Buildings that are higher than 4 stories. That's going to be a shock. We've never had that, but we're going to have to when it comes to apartment complexes at least. So, yeah, and 4 stories. I know we've got some a few bit taller than that already, but you get what I'm saying. Interesting answers from both candidates there. If you'd like to watch the entire event, again, it's available on the City of Logan's YouTube channel, which you can find by searching City of Logan, Utah Municipal Council. The council's page there used, of course, because it happened in council chambers. I've linked to that on our Facebook page as well, and you can find it there. About 2 hours long between the city council candidates and the mayoral candidates. And again, we'll be moderating a very similar event with very different questions on October 6th. I'll be moderating a candidate forum at Logan City Hall, October 6th, Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m., also broadcasting it here on our airwaves. But you can watch this Bridgeland Audubon Society moderated event from last night on the city's page. I've linked to that on our own. And stay tuned. More for the people right after this.
Welcome to Everyone's Metal Store, home to tons of metal products for the DIYer or experienced pros, with a sales staff ready to assist with any type of metal question. Palmer's Metal Mart in Logan is your metal store, no matter the size of your project. With one of the state's best selections of metal products under one roof, you will love the price and selection at Metal Mart. For almost 30 years, for projects big or small, customers have found their home for metal products and extraordinary service to be at Metal Mart. No matter your knowledge of metal products, Metal Mart is here to serve. Give us a call or come into our store in Logan and see why we're everyone's metal store. If you need metal roofing, tubing or pipe, sheet metal, angle iron, purlins or rebar, call Palmer's Metal Mart today. When it comes to metal, just remember Palmer's Metal Mart, everyone's metal store. It's that simple. Visit us online at palmersmetalmart.com or in Logan, just east of the airport. Steel, service, and savings. See you soon.
Meet me downtown. Meet me in downtown Logan.
Hi, this is Brent Wallace with Cache Valley Bank. We love supporting local events, and we are proud to support the Logan City Top of Utah Marathon, coming to downtown Logan on Saturday, September 18th. Cache Valley Bank invites everyone to meet us in downtown Logan to run, cheer, or volunteer at the Logan City Top of Utah Marathon. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Meet me downtown. Meet me in downtown Logan.
That is our time for today. Thank you for tuning in to the show, and hope you'll do so again tomorrow. The For the People movie show with Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com tomorrow on the show. And yes, new movies in theaters. Again, second week in a row we've had new movies to talk about. Thanks again to Charlie and Celeste for making Hour 1 so much fun. If you missed Hour 1's Theater Hour with Charlie Schill and this week's Celeste, Balio, Managing Director of Music Theater West. You can always listen at kvnutalk.com in the on-demand section, or subscribe to the podcast at the Podcastics service. Simply search for KVNU's For the People there and find that easily. We'll be back tomorrow with the For the People movie show. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.